Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and tonight we're going to be looking at Nicholas Flamel, the actual inspiration from the character from Harry Potter, the actual alchemist Nicholas Flamel in the Philosopher's Stone tonight, folks. We'll be learning all about him and stuff, so sit back and enjoy the show. But first, while we wait for people to gather in the chat, as usual, we'll be looking at my book. Let me go to share screen, and here we go. Here's my book, my graphic novel, Scumdogs, that's still in development. I work on my book every day, folks. Scumdogs is a parody comic book about supervillains who want to take over the universe. Scumdogs is it's a parody of cartoons from the 80s. You'll see a lot of characters that will remind you of Skeletor and He-Man and G.I. Joe and Cobra. Now, the Scumdogs themselves, they're supervillains that said who want to take over the universe. They used to compete in sporting events known as the Scumdog Sports. Sporting events held with superhumans as the pro athletes. Well, superhuman monsters. You had to transform yourself into an inhuman monster to compete at these sporting events. And they did either through science or through some more weird means like esoteric and stuff like that. Now that they're led by Deathmug. He's the purple guy with the metal mask over here. He's an arrogant dictator who wants to rule the world. He's based on various villains from 80s cartoons and stuff like that, which means he's an overblown egomaniac who just wants to rule everything. You can see him fighting his archenemy Buick Starpoon. You can see him right over there. Buick Starpoon and his team in the Space Forces are basically G.I. Joe parodies, but also crossed over with space opera like Star Trek and Star Wars. He's like, think of him as Han Solo crossed over with Duke from G.I. Joe. You notice the uniform he's wearing? It looks like something from Star Trek. Let's see. Now, because Buick Starpoon is an arrogant military type of character, he never admits he's wrong, and, that'd be fine if this was a serious book, but because this is a parody, he's a complete military moron who never admits he's wrong, keeps doing the same thing, attacking his enemies, even though never listening to anyone else's opinion and basically making a huge disaster. But because him and his team are G.I. Joe parodies, that means they each have a military specialty. A military specialty is they're highly skilled soldiers, or they're highly skilled soldiers or pilots, or maybe they're just very proficient in information gathering like spies. But those were the skills needed to join Buick Starpoon's team in order to fight the Scumdogs. But because, as I said, this is a parody book, they're all still idiots, even though they're supposed to be professional soldiers. And we'll look at the other soldiers in Buick Starpoon's team. This guy over here with the mohawk and the dark blue uniform is another member of Buick Starpoon's team, and this guy's name is Roadhog, and his military specialty is that he's an army guy. He was part of the United States Army before he joined up with Buick Starpoon. Then you have this bald guy with a gun over here in the lighter blue uniform. His name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's, a Marine, just another Marine. Then you have this guy over here in the red uniform driving that special heavy vehicle, firing off his missiles at the Scumdogs. Firing off his missiles. His name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, if you compare the fact that he's a tanker to the other soldiers, you get the joke you get the joke about it, how they're just soldiers and he's a tank, and he's a tank guy. Now, this covers one of 3 different covers you can back when my Indiegogo goes live, folks. And as I said, when it sits up, go back it. You'll enjoy it. It's going to be a fun ride. That's Scumdogs. We're not done yet, folks, but we're going to be looking at the other characters. Here we have Girl Friday. Girl Friday is another member of the Wild Rangers. That's the name that Buick Starpoon's team, the Space Forces, goes by. You know how G.I. Joe is codenamed G.I. Joe? Well, they're called the Wild Rangers. Now, see, Girl Friday was assigned to the Wild Rangers and to work under Buick Starpoon because while they fight the Scumdogs every day and save the universe, they're also complete idiots who basically destroy stuff. So they her superiors assigned Girl Friday to basically babysit him and his team, and she hates them. She hates Buick Starpoon and his team. She hates Buick Starpoon. Poon. Well, she hates Buick Star Poon. If you notice, her name's Girl Friday. She's basically a parody on the Girl Friday archetype character. You know, those female soldier type characters you see in fiction who are in love with their superior officers and stuff like that. Well, that's the joke. Girl Friday is not in love with Buick Star Poon. In fact, she hates them. And by the way, folks, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you, okay? The there and the title's misspelled. It's THRE. And go to my YouTube channel as soon as this video is done being made, well, streaming and stuff, and go to past live streams and you can watch it directly there because YouTube buries my videos, and unless you go to past live streams, you won't find this video for several hours. Or go to my Twitter page at 777 megachris1. There's a link on the first pinned tweet. Also, please hit that like button because it helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content. As well as please hit that notification bell and make sure to hit the part of the notification bell that will give you all future notifications. And please share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Now let's look at Deathmug's Henchmen. You know, because you know in all 80s cartoons, the main villain of a cartoon would have henchmen. They'd have henchmen who would do their bidding. These are my henchmen. The pink guy down here, who's big and fat, is named Sloppy. And the blue guy up here with the top hat, who's thin, is Murder Mouth. These guys are Deathmug's henchmen. They're a parody of Bebop and Rocksteady, which means they basically destroy everything and make everything worse. They're a parody of every henchman from an 80s cartoons, like the minions of Skeletor from He-Man, or like the Dreadnoks who work for Cobra from G.I. Joe, or the Decepticons from Transformers and stuff like that. You get. Over here, we have Deathmug's, well, mad scientist, Hair Metal Doctor. Hair Metal Doctor is a parody of a character from G.I. Joe called Dr. Mindbender. But my mad scientist here is basically also a hair metal musician. I thought he's not actually one of the scumdogs. Deathmug just hired him because he needed a mad scientist to think of all the machines that they needed to use to take over the universe. He does it while rocking out. And here we also have Miss Brusty Melons. Miss Brusty Melons is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. The Baroness was one of those, well, hot femme fatale characters and stuff like that, so I decided to parody it. So instead of her being a femme fatale, she's a hot blonde bombshell from California. She's a dumb blonde who was rich and famous, and she ran her own company, and she got bored one day and decided to join the Scumdogs as a villain. That's pretty much what we have here, folks. Let me exit out of these. You know my characters now, so look out for my graphic novel Scumdogs. I work on it every day, and when it's done, go and back it. Let's go over here and look at some Indiegogos real quick. Oh, here's Pirate Queen issue 2. By the way, folks, I got issue 1 of Pirate Queen, and it looks good. This book comes from Mandy Summers, and it's already made $17,520. Let's refresh it to see if it's made any more money. Oh, it's made $17,823. That looks pretty good. You can back this book for $25, and you have several different covers you can back. There's cover A and cover B that are just sexy and cute, but cover C is basically well, it's a naughty cover because the characters are going to be naked, and that looks good too. Let's see. This is a 60-page graphic novel by Mandy Summers, and it looks good. Let's read what this book is about right here, with what's been written about it. On the outer edge of the known galaxy, adventure awaits. Join the Pirate Queen on her continuing adventures as she faces off against alien monsters, bounty hunters, and the Galactic Imperial Union of Federations, and against just some drunk guys hitting on her at his space bar. The Pirate Queen has her hands full either way because everybody's looking to tap that space booty. There's more treasure chests and pirate booty than you can shake your yardarm at. Step on board the Star Raider and the crew and get ready to blast off into adventure. If you're noticing, folks, I'm doing an earlier stream. That's because I want to catch the Jack show tonight, okay? But don't worry, we're getting a full hour in. So that's the Pirate Queen here. You can back for a variety of, different covers for the graphic novel, but you can also get the Pirate Queen Keisha figure for $10. Get your own little action figure of Ava Bloodstone Pirate Queen Keisha action figure shipped to your mailing address. Not bad. It looks pretty good. But you can also get the there's also the hollow foil cover that's only going to be around 1 week. Get that as well. It looks like a great looking cover. It's good cover, and it looks pretty good. Here's what it looks like. Ooh. But you can also back for the holofoil box everything. 4 physical copies of Pirate Queen, covers A, B, and C, and holofoil. 1 physical copy of Pirate Queen 1, but yeah, with a new cover on it. You can also back for that as well for $25. And 3 trading cards and 3 6x9 art prints. 1 Keisha action figure, the 24-page digital adult story, the 24-page physical art book, and 1 by 8x10 sketch. Shipped to your mailing address. Looks pretty good. This will cost you $250, but you get everything. Yeah, man, that looks good. Here's what the covers look like. Yeah. Here's the naughty cover. Here's cover A. Looking pretty good. Let's go look at this trailer. Oh, yeah.
Dive into adventure with the Pirate Queen. Plunge your sword deep into that pirate booty. Stare in awe of that magnificent pirate chest. The Pirate Queen races across the universe in another all-out, action-packed galactic adventure. Don't miss out. The Pirate Queen.
That looks good, huh? Yeah, that's the Pirate Queen. Go back it on Indiegogo, folks. Let's look at some more Indiegogos real quick. Let's see. U.S. Assassin Book 3, Graveyard Shift, is still funding in demand. It's made $42,916. That's good. That's very good. Let's see. Should I look at this now? Well, maybe. Yeah, I think I'll look at this. Let's look at the U.S. Assassin Book 3. Well, I saw another one I want to look at, I think, first. Let's see. There's Pirate Queen. There's Black and White. We can come back to look that later. Only Death Can Save Us Book 2, Techstone, has made $4,821 with 9 days left. That's good, too. 94 Rach Tully's War is still funding in demand. And that also looks good. It's made $30,406. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. All the Goods for $65. Not bad. Rach Tully War. 94 Rach Tully's War is a 56-page perfect bound graphic novel featuring 48 pages of story, 8 pages of bonus content. Every physical book automatically receives 2 bonus campaign exclusive collector trading cards. Rach Tully's War is the all-new pedal to the metal installment from the 94 comic book universe, brought to you by the series creator, writer-artist Shelby Robertson. At the beginning of the story, you are catapulted into the world of the future. We witness the aftermath of Rach Tully's, Slam and Clinton's haphazardly botched time travel mission from the original 94 series. They got a score to settle with their employer who set them up, but there's a plethora of obstacles in their path. Hot on their trail are Pin and Alanis, who happen to be their rival time-traveling hired guns. This book is a melting pot of sci-fi, anti-hero humor, and with a splash of 90s nostalgia. Also, be sure to consider adding the Indrun Ashcan set with 48 pages of all-new story that ties directly into Rach Tully's War 1. It serves as an intermission of sorts. We are offering 2 different cover editions for the Rach Tully's War 1. Each physical cover edition for the Rach Tully's War 1 copy includes 2 campaign-exclusive trading cards. Here's what they look like. Ooh, not bad. Very good. Look at that. Not bad. There's this cover as well. 94. And this cover is basically to bring you back to the original issue of Wizard magazine and stuff like that, which looks pretty good, huh? It looks like a good looking cover. You can back this book for $25. You have several different covers. They all look good. Here's the Witch Homage edition, which is also $25. Volume 1 reissue new cover. Get the 94 Volume 1 trade paperback reissue for $25 as well. That's also good. Not bad. Regular plush ash cans. Looks good. Let's look at this trailer now. right. That was Rage 94, Rage Telly's War. Looks good. Very good. Kind of want to look at that again, or at least part of it, real quick. That's 16 minutes in. Not doing too bad. I think, though, I'll go over here and let's see. There are other stuff. Oh, yeah. I'll look at, U.S. Assassin Book 3 Graveyard Shift. Let's see what this book is about. U.S. Assassin returns in his deadliest adventure. Project U.S. Assassin is reborn as Agent Joe Knight is assigned to an all-new team to lead against the world's greatest threat, Graveyard Shift, featuring the first appearance of professional wrestling superstar, the mercenary Flip Gordon. Writer Mark Polton, Graveyard Shift, Sea Dog, U.S. Assassin, and Mike Mann have their U.S. Assassin take on Polton and John Malin's Graveyard Shift in this 54-page high-octane graphic novel. They are joined by other Graveyard Shift creators as well. And you have several different covers. Each of them looks good. Here's the Lilith cover. That's pretty good as well. You can back this book for $25. Each cover will only cost you $25. You can get the fan pack, which is $125. You'll receive all three versions of U.S. Assassin Book 3 Graveyard Shift, the collected edition, and the Mercenary Bazooka Dog flip book, all signed by Mark Polton and Mike Mann. You can get the collected edition of U.S. Assassin, get books, which means it collects both books 1 and 2 together in one big book. So that's also good, which is also going to cost you $25. Let's look at this trailer. All right, that's U.S. Assassin, Book 3. Looks pretty good. All right, we've been at this a while. I think now we'll go over and look at some, as I said, we're going to look at The Strange Tale of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. Let's take a look at this article, this first one here and stuff. Since the dawn of time, since humankind became aware of our own mortality, there have been those who sought to stop the inevitable approach of death. The search for immortality has become a common theme of obsession in many stories throughout history, from ancient Chinese emperors seeking elixirs of life, those looking for the actual fountain of youth. It seems as if there are no limits to the lengths people have been willing to go to live forever. Yet, while it all seems like it must surely be purely a mythical dream with no basis in reality, there have also been those who have been claimed to have actually achieved it. One of these was a man who lived in the 15th century, who through ancient magic and alchemy supposedly found the secrets to life eternal. The man known as Nicholas Flamel was born in 1330, going on to live in Paris and become a scribe and manuscript seller. He had 2 humble shops in Paris and married a woman named Peronilia. In 1368, this all seems fairly mundane for the most part, and indeed, in life in Flamel was not much talked about. But after his death, he began to draw to him all manner of strange stories that catapulted him into a larger-than-life figure. That had lots of mirrored mysteries. Here's what the guy looked like. I mean, this is the guy who inspired the character from the first Harry Potter novel, the Nicholas Flamel, who created the Sorcerer's Stone, otherwise known as the Philosopher's Stone. Let's get back to this article. It was in the 17th century, 100 years after Flamel's death in 1418, that stories of Flamel's secret mystical life began to do the rounds, painting him to be more than just a humble scribe and bookseller. It was all claimed that he in fact had been deeply into the mystical arts of alchemy, an interest which had turned into an obsession starting with a dream. The story goes that one night he had a vivid dream of an angel which came to him showing him a book and claiming, "Look well at this book, Nicholas. At first you will understand nothing in it, neither you nor any other man, but one day you will see it in that in it that which no other man will be able to see. In the dream, Nicholas had reached for the book, but woke up before he could touch it. Over the days that were coming, the shrill dream lurked in the back of his mind, only to come crashing back to him with the arrival of a mysterious stranger at his shop. The man came in off the street with a book that he said he had needed to sell for money. Not particularly strange considering Flamel's line of work, but what was strange was that he had immediately recognized it as the very same book that the angel had been holding in his dream. Flamel immediately purchased the book and brought it into his study to examine it. The cover was an ancient-looking ornament, worked copper adorned with arcane symbols and designs, and opening it showed that it was apparently authored by Abraham. Prince, priest, Levite, astrologer, and philosopher, was followed by a litany of warnings to the reader of the book being cursed for those who were not worthy to read it. By pages, he read through the pages and pages of cryptic text, designs, illustrations, diagrams, and symbols, all written in an unintelligible hodgepodge of Greek, ancient Hebrew, and other languages, most of which he did not understand, and some which he had never seen before. Flamel apparently knew enough to recognize the book had something to do with the alchemy, and he suspected there were profound secrets within the book pages. But at this time, these eluded him, so began his obsessive quest to decipher the book. Flamel allegedly went on to make understanding the book his life's goal. Feverishly spending all of his available time scouring Paris for clues, locked away in his study, hunched over it, he would spend around 21 years doing this, slowly unlocking certain bits and pieces of the manuscript, yet it still eluded him. He then decided to make a journey to Spain, where many Jewish exiles lived at the time, see if he could find more answers there. It was sometime during this trip to Spain when Flamel would supposedly meet a Jewish scholar, sage by the name of Maestro Conchis, who identified Flamel's book being a copy of the original book of Eberlin, the Mage, of the greatest masters to have ever studied the mysteries of the mystical Kabbalah. Book was said to have been lost long ago, but that it would always find its way to a person who was destined for its secrets. Sage translated the few pages Flamel had brought with him, before agreeing to return to Paris with his help with the rest of it. Sadly, Conchis would die before it was completed, but Flamel had learned enough to continue decoding the manuscript himself. According to the late Flamel, took 3 years to finish the translation, in the process unlocking its vast magical powers. For one, it is said that he learned the secrets to creating the legendary Philosopher's Stone, the key to the covered art of transmutation, or turning base metals such as mercury into a gold, an ability long sought after by alchemists. Interestingly, during this time, it seems that Flamel became suddenly and inexplicably rich, suspected to be through the use of alchemy. He and his wife began giving massive amounts of money to various philanthropist projects. I'm just going to call it that. Whatever. As well as making I'm going to skip that word. As well as making donations to the church, with no one able to figure out where all of this money was coming from. King Charles IV of France even ordered an investigation to Flamel out of suspicion, but there was nothing found that could account for his wealth, and no sign of shady dealings. Historical records indicate that officially Flamel died in 1418 at the age of 88, after which his house was ransacked by people who would steal the Philosopher's Stone and the Book of Abraham, but was never found. In the early part of the 17th century, a man named Dubois, to be a descendant of Flamel, of Nick, who claimed to be a descendant of Nicholas, Also, that he had inherited some of the secrets and could fashion gold from lead. When the powerful Cardinal Rolou heard of this, he tried to extract the secret from Dubois, finally resorting to imprisoning Dubois, and stealing stealing the book, but he was apparently never able to understand it. After that, the whereabouts of the book are known. Lost to the mist of time, the 17th century, who saw various texts suddenly appear to talk of Nicholas's alchemical prowess, with books supposedly written by him apparently as well, to the point that he became legendary and served to fuel the massive popularity of alchemy at the time. Even referenced in Isaac Newton's journals, the Catechist Dragons of Flamel. In the meantime, rumors began to swirl that not only had Flamel managed the feat of transmutation, but had also harnessed the secrets of immortality. Although Flamel had supposedly died in the 15th century, stories began to appear that all was not as it seemed. Besides various alleged sightings of Flamel long after he should have been dead in the 17th century, an archaeologist named Paul Lucas was in Perusa, Turkey. Well, he was basically put there by King Louis the 14th on a fact-finding mission where, while he was there, Lucas made the acquaintance of a wise philosopher, told him that Flamel and his wife had harnessed the secrets of immortality through the use of the Philosopher's Stone. According to the philosopher, with the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone, a person could live for thousands of years, and that there were those out there who had managed to achieve this, including Flamel. Lucas was told that Flamel and his wife had both achieved immortality, faked their own deaths and funerals, and then moved to India, where they still lived. Although Lucas was skeptical at first, he started to believe when the philosopher described the Book of Erbelin, how Flamel had come into its possession. Flamel really managed to beat death? No one really knows. Flamel would remain a fixture of the alchemical world until later centuries, mentioned in various works of fiction and even making his way into a modern pop culture. He was mentioned in the best-selling novel Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and its film adaptation, as well as its spin-off from Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Of course, considering that Flamel never was really known as an alchemist until books published centuries after his death, there's the argument that these were nothing but myths dressed up around a real historical figure in order to sell books. The manuscripts attributed to him, written by someone else, the whole of it embellished as at best and pure fiction at worst. It was just pure fiction, and just pure fiction. It leaves us to wonder just how much of any of it based in fact, just where myth ends and reality begins. Nicholas Flamel certainly did exist, but was he ever an all-powerful alchemist who found the secrets of the universe and of eternal life? Or is this all just lore and legends? Is he just a historical figure draped in myth? Is he perhaps out there right now still just as vigorous and alive as ever? Hard to say, but Nicholas Flamel has definitely made his mark upon history in one way. Yeah. All right, that was a good article. Got a few more articles. We can know who Nicholas Flamel is, folks. So let me go over here, look at a few other articles, find something on him. Maybe over here. Just a moment, folks. Might be a bit of maybe I should just go over to here. Let me do this. Nicholas Flamel. The actual Nicholas Flamel. secretsnicholasflamel.com. Let's go over and look at this article on him. Let me go do this, though. Go over here. Do this. Do this. Now we'll go back over here. Feel free to leave me a few chats, folks, because I want to hear your ideas on this. Nicholas Flamel was born in 1330 as a bookseller, owned and ran 2 shops in Paris, France. He lives in an ordinary life until one day he brought a metal-bound book in which letters seemed to be different languages. To be in different. Is it to be in Yes, metal bound, huh? And the title physically shifted. His wife, Flamel, who is 10 years older than Nicholas, then trekked across Europe to decode the mysterious book, which they soon found out to be the Book of Abraham. Oh, so now it's a different person who did that book. Abraham, huh? AKA the Codex. Nicholas studied alchemy and had a talent for it, where he lacked many abilities in other areas of the arcane knowledge in necromancy, sorcery, etc. Pernell, though, was extraordinary in those areas and became an exceedingly powerful sorceress. An ace, a nice white aura. She had that, huh? Nice white aura, huh? Flamel's aura is green and smells of sharp mint. They finally decoded the codex. He and Flamel discovered a recipe for eternal life, known as the elixir of life. Every month, the Flamels must drink the elixir, as the recipe for the elixir changes constantly. So this is based on Harry Potter, is it? Oh boy. After the month passes, if they have not drunk another elixir, they will age a year every day until either they drink another potion of the elixir, or they die. The use of their auras will make them age faster if they try to use the same recipe more than once. It will speed up the aging process later in their lives. Is this part? They met John Dee, who at the time was one of the Queen of England's top advisors. Is this all for top advisors, huh? And they took him, the Morgan, the Dark Elder. Okay, something's not. This seems very weird. Green of England's top advisors. Let me get back to where I was. Apprentice, unfortunately, one night he was led to the top of the Notre Dame Cathedral and was convinced by the Morgan, a next generation Dark Elder, to join the Dark Elder's cause. Nicholas and Philip were first to fake their own deaths in 1418 when Dee attempted to assassinate them. Throughout the rest of their lives, Dee continuously attempted to kill them, releasing a fire elemental on them, which caused the Great Fire of London. Okay, this is all just. I don't think this is part of Harry Potter either. Jeez, I was hoping for a bit more information, but you get an idea here. Here he's very popular in popular culture. Nicholas Flamel is. I also need to do my own video on John Dee as well. Mm-hmm. So let me try and find a different article on Nicholas Flamel here. Who is Nicholas Flamel? Sort of the famous French Wizarding World. Nicholas Flamel, strange tale of an immortal Nicholas Flamel, mysterious universe. I already looked at that article. Let me try. Let me go over here. I can try this. Come up, folks, and we'll look at some more stuff. Feel free to leave me a few more chats, and we'll look at that. All right. UFO Digest. Too bad. I might go and look at a bit on alchemy as well. I did say I was going to maybe look at that. Saint Germain. Flamel. That's evolution. I thought I'd have a few more things than that. Maybe I'll try this. Nicholas Flamel. See if I can't get in some more. Just need a few more articles. Should have known that. That article. I could also just go and look at alchemy. Yeah, from the realm of alchemy to the world of the men in black. Newton's alchemy recipe for Philosopher's Stone discovered. Alchemy and the men in black. Alchemy of wine. Maybe. Let me go over here first. The realm of alchemy to the men in black. Newton's alchemy recipe for Philosopher's Stone rediscovered. Which article to do first? I did say we know a bit about more about Nicholas Flamel, so maybe I'll look at this one, From the Realm of Alchemy and the World of the Men in Black. While commenting on the Men in Black mystery, John Keel said that Albert Binder, a guy who began the MIB controversy in the early 1950s, explored the realm of alchemy as well. The mystery of UFOs, Binder did way more than that. Before we get to the matter of Binder and alchemy, however, a bit of background in the MIB is provided here for those who may not be fully aware of the mystery. Since the early 1950s, are dark-suited characters wearing fedora hats with pale, sometimes plastic-like skin and startling eyes have plagued and tormented those in the UFO field who have got a little bit too close to the truth, whatever that might really be. Well, the MIB of Hollywood, well, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones are portrayed as what we might call secret agents. The fact is that the real Men in Black are not even human. Aliens, demons, tricksters, tulpas, time travelers. List and the theories go on and on. Now to the crux of this article, alchemy. It is a little-known fact that Albert Binder was absolutely obsessed with the subject of its centuries-old secrets. Among Albert Binder's most cherished books, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, also known as the Modern Prometheus, published in 1818. The Frankenstein Diaries state in the novel, Victor Frankenstein, before going to the university, speaks about self-learning through a fascination with the writings of Albertus Magnus, Cornelius, Agap, and Perillus. All of them are associated with the theories of alchemy. That early precursor to chemistry. Precursor to science, principally associated with the search for the Philosopher's Stone, the primal element to change base metal to gold or silver, and the elixir vita, a potion which would bring eternal or extended life. But what exactly is alchemy? Read on. All right. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary provides the following on alchemy: a medieval chemical science and speculative philosophy aiming to achieve the transmutation of the base metals into gold, the discovery of a universal cure for disease, and the discovery of a means of indefinitely prolonging life. On closely related territory, Binder was particularly entranced by the literary work of Edgar Allan Poe. One of Binder's favorite authors, and for Binder's particular standout story of Poe was The Gold Bug. Barton Levi, St. Emid, an essay titled Poe's Sober Mystification, says Poe was cognizant of the implement of surface of alchemy, and as Burton Poland has pointed out, he was at least familiar with Isaac D. Note on alchemy in his 1834 Curiosity of Literature, which contained the provocative suggestion that modern chemistry is not without a hope, not to say a certainty, of verifying the golden versions of the alchemists. The tale that dilates on this idea and most bears out the fact of Poe's adeptness in the philosophy of alchemy is one which is usually taken as simply an ingenious mystery adventure story, the intriguing gold bug. Another favorite story for Binder was H.P. Lovecraft's Alchemist. It's a dark and twisted tale of a man, one Charles Lee Soker, who uncovers the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone, alchemy, and uses it to massively prolong his life. He does so as a means to kill each and every successive heir to the Tone family castle when they reached the age of 32. It was one of Count Antony's, or of that same family, centuries earlier, killed the Sucker's father, a wizard named Michael Marvels. On top of that, Binder had an obsession with Bram Stoker's gothic fantasy, the Dracula. Not only was Stoker himself deeply interested in alchemy, in the pages of his classic novels, so was the fictional Transylvanian vampire Count himself. All of this fascinated Albert Binder, someone who was comfortably exploring both the UFO mystery and alchemy. Interesting. Okay, so we read that through here. Now let me go over here a bit, folks. Let's see this. I'll go to UFO Insight real quick here. Let me try this. Plus Flamel. He sends a 15 glacier stone, disturbing arrow like that. Delta of past incidents. Let me try this. Alchemy. The Nostradamus prophecies. Minister of Saint Germain, vampire time traveler, or simple fraudster. Yeah, I figured as much. Let me go back over here. I just wanted to do that real quick, folks. Now, I'm trying to find other articles on Nicholas Flamel. And that might be a while, unfortunately. But we have these other articles on alchemy, and we can talk through that much. Hidden in plain sight, an ancient alchemy, secret source of Silicon Valley geek. Examine the secret order of the Men in Black. A disaster storm and the paranormal activity of chaos. Let's see here. Noon's recipe for Philosopher Stone rediscovered. Should I look at this, folks? Let's see this. Well, what do you think about Nicholas Flamel, folks? Interesting fellow, wasn't he? And he's inspired a lot of stuff. Not to mention there's also Saint Germain, who also said to basically, people say that Saint Germain was actually Nicholas Flamel. And John Dee, who apparently apparently was knew a bit about Flamel as well. Or at least in that one article we read about him, but it was probably part of a fictional story about Nicholas Flamel. Interesting to think about if it is true. Is Nicholas Flamel still alive? It is interesting. We can talk about that from my own ideas about this. I do believe the supernatural exists, but does alchemy exist, and is Nicholas Flamel still alive? Could he? Yeah, he could. He could still be alive. That is a possibility. But is he actually an old man? Does the Philosopher's Stone just grant immortality, or does it also basically allow you to achieve eternal youth as well? Because being an old guy that's thousands of years old, might never die, but he's still looking like an old, elderly man for eternity doesn't exactly sound fun either. Though if I was forced to, I wouldn't mind being an old guy that lived forever either, as long as I could still move about. Maybe it sounds like it could be. This doesn't appear to be trying to basically load at all. I mean, if Nicholas Flamel actually achieved immortality, do you think he's rich? Probably, because he can make gold. But do you think he actually is still out there? Do you think he's famous? Do you think the alchemy can allow him to rearrange his face and make himself look like anyone else? Because basically, there's that picture of Nicolas Cage, there's this picture of this guy who looks like Nicolas Cage from 1860 or 1870 or so. He looks like Nicolas Cage. And people have said that Nicolas Cage is an immortal vampire who every few decades basically fakes his death and regenerates to a younger version of himself to basically live another life. People have said that different photos of people who look like famous celebrities. Could it be real? Maybe, but you'd also need something like mind control, or at least they'd have to pay off a bunch of people to basically say they weren't this person and stuff like that. This article, what is this article about anyway? Doesn't look like it has anything to do with anything, actually. But if Nicholas Flamel is actually immortal and has lived forever, and is still alive to this very day, him and his wife, I guess they don't have kids, because, you gotta understand is if they had kids, I don't think their immortality is inheritable, so they'd have to teach their kids how to make the Philosopher's Stone. And that's another thing. Their kids either have to be celibate, or at the very least basically not get married, because, well, just think about it, just having kids, and then basically their kids would grow older and then die. What do you think their kids would do? Not basically share the secrets of immortality with their own children? That's another thing why it would be so hard to believe that that guy is still alive, because there'd probably be thousands and thousands of immortals running around. Because how many people that how many kids would basically, yeah, how many children of Flamel would basically sit around and watch their own children die of old age? You gotta understand that fact as well. I mean, it could very well be true. But there are a bunch of ideas and stuff like that to consider. If Nicholas Flamel is also immortal, do you think he's had time to basically become more intelligent? I mean, I've heard that the reason why in vampire fiction, you don't usually have vampires that are more than a few hundred years old. Because, well, the more you try to write about a character that's basically thousands and to even older, to hundreds of thousands, to maybe millions, it's harder to do that because it's harder for people to understand or grasp how a person that old would be able to think, or how they would be able to think, because they've literally seen everything. You can only basically, sometimes people have attempted it and basically written about it, and basically just it comes across as a guy who's just extremely old. Some people think that if you've lived 1,000+ years or so, hundreds and hundreds of years, not just 200, that your mind wouldn't really be human anymore. You wouldn't see things the same way as other people would. You'd basically be a humanoid abomination, which could be true if you have lived that long. I mean, well, if you have lived that long, you're not really, some people, well, you could say they wouldn't be sane anymore. Not because they wouldn't basically senile or anything like that. No, because their mind basically their mind isn't aging, their body isn't aging, and they had infinite time to basically grow and adapt. So there's a good chance that people who would live that long, their minds wouldn't be human anymore, which I guess could happen. They'd be free of death, so their minds could expand any which way, and God knows what they'd be actually like. I'd say that's a pretty good a true statement to be said. That's why you don't see in stories of immortals and other people like that, you don't see anything true and human. Why? Because, well, if someone does live 700 years, they don't really think like a regular person anymore. That's what a lot of people think, and it's hard to portray. But I know this seems odd. Basically, how can you basically do a story about someone who's 200 to 400 years old? Wouldn't they also be basically kind of non-human anymore? Maybe, but people have said that it's easier to basically speculate on someone who lives that long than it is for someone who lives 1,000+ years and stuff. So there you have to consider that fact as well. So you could say that. I mean, I can see that and stuff like that. If someone lives that long, their mind might not be human anymore. At least they wouldn't think like a regular person anymore. Maybe they'd be far more intelligent, not just because they have infinite time to learn, but maybe their minds had changed. Because you see, there's only so much as someone can learn in one lifetime or have the skill to do. But if you live hundreds and hundreds of years, well, does that change? Does, say, your mind change as well? Could be. But then again, I can't really say. All I know is what people have written about it. I can speculate myself, and especially speculate that their minds do become somewhat non-human. And this is a good thing to basically speculate someone who lives that long, what a person who actually from outer space or is just non-human would actually act like. Because they wouldn't be bound by our same levels of mortality, or our bodies basically decaying and stuff like that. So maybe their minds would also be different. Most definitely with aliens and other non-human entities, but God knows what a human would be like who lived like that. So there's the consider that fact as well. It's interesting to think about. What else can I say about this as I try to think about this? I could read another Alchemy article, but maybe I'll do my own video on that later, on another day and stuff like that. Right now, we're talking about Nicholas Flamel and what it would be like to actually be immortal. him and his wife must truly love each other because they don't seem to, well, they can do that, make it work over hundreds of years. They see that they wouldn't really be human in that area either. Most definitely, they'd see anyone else in a relationship younger than theirs. It's almost weird has basically very weird to them because they'd basically been around with each other for so long, far longer than they actually lived as ordinary humans. You can understand what you can just speculate what Nicholas Flamel and his wife must think about the world and stuff like that. How they must think of people as basically ants, or at the very least flies, and not get too angry when they try to do something. Well, as I say, they must think of the people as flies because, well, their lives end so quickly and stuff like that. So yeah, could very well be the truth. But then again, as I was saying, God knows what other things he could do. Maybe be far more intelligent, basically create various things. Maybe he's actually Albert Einstein now. And him and his wife basically live a life where they basically take on new identities, and maybe he's responsible for a great many of the inventions that have basically come about in the world. Maybe he's even contacted aliens or such things. Gotta understand, we don't know what someone who has such a long life as Nicholas Flamel is actually capable of. We can only just think and wonder what he can do. Let's see. Very odd, very, very weird. But what do you think, folks? How can you possibly explain this? Not to mention if he's actually a wizard, not just an alchemist. God knows if he can fly or do anything else. How that would affect people, or maybe that also maybe affects people by basically, by his very presence. Who knows how powerful someone like that actually is? Maybe he can read minds. Maybe he's responsible for a great many tragedies, or as well as good things that have happened in the world. We can only I'm trying to think of some idea of someone who, most definitely, with his ability to turn lead into gold, he could basically make himself rich anywhere. Though he could also basically cause the price of gold to become worthless because he could just flood the world with gold and stuff like that and basically make gold worthless. He hasn't done anything like that either, so, well, you can say that much. I'm trying to think of a few ideas here. Yeah, this is Newton's Philosophy of Life. How long is that article? No, I guess it's too long, huh? Oh, maybe it's not that long at all. I could look at this. Newton's Alchemy Recipe for Philosopher's Stone Rediscovered. I could look at that. Are you ready for Stone Immortality, a manuscript containing Isaac Newton's alchemy formula for the Philosopher's Stone, the legendary elixir of life? Metal transmuted key to immortality has been rediscovered, and will the new owners keep it to themselves, sell it to the highest bidder, share it with all of mankind, and make a movie? Who knows? Let's start with the Philosopher's Stone, as it is or is reputed to be. But for the few who haven't heard of Harry Potter, the knowledge of the stone is actually a chemical substance capable, among other things, of turning ordinary metals into gold, and said to have been given to Adam. It's the additional power of rejuvenation and immortality were considered to be a reason for some long-lived biblical persons. Plato talks about a prima material, or first matter, that the four elements are derived from, and is believed to be the key ingredients in the alchemy of the Philosopher's Stone. The process of creating the stone is called the Magnus Opus, or the Great Work, and is believed to have 4 stages relating to the colors black, white, red, yellow, and red. Blah, 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 about Newton's recipe for immortality. Yeah. According to Chemistry World, the handwritten manuscript showed up in an auction in Pasadena, California, February 16th, when it was purchased by the Chemical Heritage Foundation, CHF, in Philadelphia. The CHF, a science history institution, will have the original Latin manuscript online. should give you a hint that it may not be the formula for the elixir of life at first build. Here's what it looks like, huh? The manuscript is titled "Preparation for Mercury for the Philosopher's Stone" by the preparation for the Mercury of the stone by the for the stone by the antimonial satellite Regulus of Mars, learned from the manuscript in the American Philosopher's Stone. Mercury refers to the philosophic Mercury, sewn on for the stone. Newton copied the recipe from an American chemist, George Starkey, the American philosopher mentioned in the title, published under the American philosopher, published under the pseudonym Linus Philanthius. And who some consider to be the America's first scientist. It's assumed that Newton tried the recipe in the late 1600s because there are notes and corrections to Starkey's original formula, the Newtonian recipe on the back for distilling lead ore. Since Newton isn't here, it's a good bet that he didn't find the secret to immortality, and since his descendants don't control the world's money supply, it's safe to assume he didn't transmute any lead into gold. The significance of the manuscript is that it's in Sir Isaac Newton's hand, and shows that he was an alchemist as well as a mathematician and physicist. No gold, no elixir, no immortality. Time to resume for the hunt for some unicorn's blood. Okay, that's interesting to consider. So did it also come from Nicholas Flamel, or did Nicholas Flamel's recipe actually is that? Maybe. Now, folks, we're coming to the end of this live stream. And we're talking about, as we said, Nicholas Flamel and Alchemy somewhat. We can only speculate someone like Nicholas Flamel, after living centuries and far longer than anyone else, would basically be fairly, if anything, either insane or basically his mind wouldn't be human anymore. That much is certain. So, yeah, we have to say he wouldn't really be considered a human anymore. Now, also, folks, since I'm ending this live stream, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. The there is misspelled. It's THERE, so it's Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Make sure to go to my YouTube channel and go to my YouTube channel and go to past live streams, because YouTube buries my videos. So, but if you want to watch this again as soon as I'm done streaming it or making it, go to past live streams at Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Leave some comments down below. Oh, you can also use the tweet with the link to this video as well. Just go to my Twitter page at @777megachris1. Go to the first pinned tweet. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the notification bell that will give you all future notifications. And please go share this video out on Twitter. Yeah, please go share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. As well as, remember, go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. Stitch Together Picks is a YouTube channel hosted by the Maniacal Cinephile. You're going to love his reviews of movies. They are just great. Go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. As well as, please go over and subscribe to Robot Co-op. Robot Co-op is like Mr. Science Theater 3000. They do these live streams where you watch them play with these puppets while playing video games, and they are so much fun. Go and subscribe to Robot Co-op. As well as go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is a great YouTube channel. It's basically like the Art Bell radio show. He does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. So go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Remember, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. No, well, 8, 10, or 11 o'clock p.m. for another live stream. So be sure to come back. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdog's Kennel. Thank you all for joining me.